Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Christmas Day Eve. And we are having a Winter Wonderland spectacular here at the farm tonight.
Okay.
Trying to get Kastuba to come up. But, you know, he likes when we go down, Mara, but he doesn't like to come up.
I've noticed this.
It's the privilege of living in New York City. It's like people are supposed to come to you.
You know, you're supposed to go and have sleigh rides.
Well, hey, I was up there five times this summer, Raghunath.
Okay, make it 6. Come on.
Well, no. How many times have you been down here?
Lots of times.
Flipping
Lots
it
of
on you
times.
guys. Okay.
Lots of times.
It's cold up there in the winter. It's very cold.
Dude, it's very cold. We came home. By the way, we were all sweating it going down yesterday because of all the bad forecast. Roads were perfect on the way down. Roads were perfect on the way up until we got home. And now we got like 8 inches of snow. Everything's frozen.
So that's a good thing for Christmas.
Well, unless you're shoveling driveways. Otherwise, it's great.
You got a tractor.
It's hard. It's hard with the tractor when it gets this high and this cold.
You
don't know the ways of tractors and shoveling because you're a city boy.
I watched them. I watched them drive by. It seems easy.
You've never shoveled anything your whole life.
All right. It was a wonderful extravaganza. You know.
Oh my God, that was great.
Yeah,
I saw Yasso for the first time in 20 years.
That was great. So I met people that I never met before, and then I reconnected with lots of people. It was beautiful. You know, I'll tell you something. We had about 40 people or so.
Yeah.
And the Divya staff, they liked our vibe, you know. I could tell they were into us, you know.
Yeah, they're like, who are these guys? Are they Hare Krishnas?
No, because everyone had such a good vibe. Everybody's, you know, because they're all practicing bhakti yogis, and it's not, you know, like you stick a bunch of people that don't even necessarily know each other together, and usually there's all kinds of, you know.
For a bunch of people who didn't know each other, actually, had probably never met each other.
I mean,
it was such a
some
experience.
had never met each other. Yeah, but it was beautiful. So I love the community. We're beautiful people.
Mara, who'd you hang out with?
I got to talk with Yasso a lot.
All right.
And then Ramit Pandit, Sherry Anik, Janavi Priti.
Table over there.
We had a good table.
We had a great table.
Our table was better.
Brinkhouse G was there.
Yeah.
Jenny Hyun.
Oh,
Brinkhouse G had a Krishna miracle. Yeah, you should.
This is a mind-blowing Krishna miracle.
Okay.
Did you get all the details on it, Raghunath?
You tell me.
Okay, so this is what Hannah Brinkhouse told me. So Hannah Brinkhouse is one of our regular Wisdom of the Sages people. Zoomer, she's here every day. And another Zoomer is David Charles Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Now, Hannah Brinkhouse, why was she in Philadelphia? What was that all about?
She was going to do something with her daughter.
That's right. Her daughter lives in Philadelphia. So she went down to see her daughter, and she was in her daughter's house or apartment. And then she left, and she was cleaning the snow off the window of her car or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Wiping down the window. And at the same exact time, from the house that was directly across the street.
Across.
And the car parked directly across from her car. A person came out that looked kind of like David Charles Wilson. She kind of looked over and thought, "Oh, David, looks like David Charles Wilson," but didn't
They
think
sort of know each other from Zoom, just from
yeah.
their little window box.
And then he looked over at her, and then they both realized, hold it, that's Hannah. That's David Charles Wilson. So it turned out that her daughter had moved into, or he had maybe moved in second, right? But David Charles Wilson was living directly across the street in Philadelphia,
Window to window on the second floor.
window to window, looking right into each other. They couldn't believe it. And
all
not
day
only that,
long, they just look at each other through that window.
and they
Who
walk-
is that person?
But even that, not only is that mind blowing enough, right? Like out of all the houses in the world, they're right across. But then they both walked out at the exact same time. Otherwise, they would have never seen each other.
What are the chances?
And then David Charles Wilson said, I'm about to go to India for a month. I know it's a crazy thing to ask, but, do you think it might be possible? Like your daughter might be able to babysit my cat while I'm sit my cat.
And what
while
was
I'm
her
gone?"
answer, Mara? What was her answer to that?
That they're like professional cat sitters.
There you go.
Professional cat sitter.
That is called a
What are the
Krishna
chances?
miracle right there.
Yeah.
That's magic stuff right there.
Okay. What are the odds for that?
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Right, so that was cool. Anyway, it was a
Yeah.
wonderful time last night. We got to make that a yearly thing.
Yeah, yearly thing, along with Super Soul's Winter Wonderland Spectacular.
That's tonight. I do feel I'm missing out on the spectacular. Right?
Oh, it is. It's festive and beautiful. We'll sing bajans and Christmas carols.
Okay.
That's what we do here.
Beautiful.
Hark to the bells ringing around, filling the air with joy sound. Ding, here we go, dong, here we go, filling the air with joy sound. I can do everything. I can do alto, soprano.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I've got every one of those lines memorized from high school.
You're one of those singing masters. Who are gonna
The madrigals.
like maybe we should just call you Maestro.
Did I ever tell you?
Would you
Yeah,
like to be called Maestro?
Did I ever tell you? Why does everything have to be a Seinfeld reference with you? Did I ever tell you that another great I have had a few letdowns in my life, and a lot of, but it must have been astrological in high school. One of them was I loved singing, and I loved the fact that in elementary school, and junior high school, they sort of forced you to sing. It was sort of like, nope, it's chorus. It's the spring chorus. It's the chorus. And I'd be like, all right, but I actually loved it secretly. But all my friends were like, this is so boring. But I was like loving it. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get serious about this. I'm going to join the madrigals. Mara, can you look up what a madrigal actually is? But I think it's a thing. But it was just like really refined chorus in high school.
Wow.
And so I signed up and I didn't make it. I didn't make it.
Even though you can
Cut
sing
from
all
the
four
madrigals.
parts of that song.
And it hurt me. It hurt me. No, I learned. Yeah. Mara, what's a madrigal?
Yes.
A part song for several voices, especially one of the Renaissance period, typically arranged in elaborate counterpoint and without instrumental accompaniment.
Yes, that's what I signed up for, and I got cut.
then
Not even JV. It was like, you can't be on it.
But you know what you do when they don't let you into that, Rona?
What do you do?
You get into a hardcore band, right?
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, I'll
That's
teach you
the
guys.
alternative, Yeah.
Nityananda Chandra said Mallory had a miracle too. Mallory met an Australian girl in the kirtan, because a bunch of people went upstairs to the kirtan, that she met in Vrindavan when she was first diving into bhakti. A few years ago, they both talked to each other, and Mallory gave her a gift.
Okay, now that's cool.
That's
But
cool.
But
It's a
the
great
Bhakti
thing.
Center is the place where both of those people are going to,
I wouldn't call that a miracle. I'd call that a meeting.
Yeah, but where David Charles Wilson met Anna Brinkhouse, that was just, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah,
right?
because you go to the Bhakti Center, I'm running into people all the time. That, I haven't seen you in a while. What are you
Not
doing
a
here?
miracle. Sorry,
It's
Nityananda Chandra. Not
a
a miracle.
This is this is the Catholic Church going through. Like, who's up for sainthood this year? No, got to perform 2 miracles. That we're not going to call that a miracle. Don't worry, you're still a saint, Mallory. But
there's one more thing we need to do. Mention about the festivities.
Yes,
last night, was that we have to thank Mukund Kishore. He generously sponsored everyone. What
that
a
was
sweet
beautiful.
thing to do.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Mukund Kishore.
Everyone was so touched by that.
Yeah, Mukund Kishore actually sponsors.
Out of nowhere. Right?
Well, no, you don't even know this. I don't think you. Mukund Kishore actually sponsors this podcast to be uploaded every month. Do you know that?
I know that. Yeah.
$50 a month.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
We
I
got
want to thank. This is a
questions.
good opportunity because it's the end of the year to give thanks to all the people who support this show in so many ways.
Yeah.
Patreon members, or they contribute to something, or if we have some type of drive, they're contributing to it. I want to thank everybody for doing that. It really helps this thing floating. And we have a great community, and we get a lot of feedback, but there's a lot of people I don't meet. Like yesterday, I met people I haven't met, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Today's Q&A day, everybody. It's questions and answers day.
But before we do,
that, what?
there's Mara with announcements for the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have a Back to Recovery group meeting this morning at 9:30. And we should also announce that if you signed up for a SAGE group, you should be finding out about your group by the end of the day today.
Today.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And there's no show tomorrow.
No show tomorrow. It's Christmas.
No
We'll
show
take
and
Christmas
show.
off this year. Yeah. Mara's like, what?
No
Yeah,
one
there's
told me
show.
that.
We
Yeah,
just figured
because
it out.
we're having Christmas breakfast over here, Mara.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I
Have a
think we could use the day off.
spectacular Christmas breakfast.
Okay, but we'll be back on Monday at 8 a.m. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Me and Parmananda's going to come over. We're going to have a breakfast together.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for the first question?
Yep. Hit me up.
First question is coming from Daily Zoomer and holiday. What do we call it yesterday again? I forgot.
Extravaganza.
The extravaganza attendee, Sherry Yannick.
Oh, shit.
From Brooklyn via Oceanside, California, or vice versa. She writes, I was just doing research on hunger and poverty for children for my job as a librarian when I felt moved to do something. I remember you saying this when you came back from Delhi. Raghu, remember that?
No.
When you were in Delhi. Yeah. I was wondering if there were any Krishna conscious nonprofits that work to provide food for the hungry, help children in need, or other charitable works. While I've donated to the Bhakti Center and temples before, and also to the nonprofit that was working with devotees in Ukraine. By the way, I want to look back and see how they're doing in Ukraine because of winter setting, and I think we ought to reach out again, maybe to Narenjan Swami, and maybe we could do something again for them. But she said, so she's donated to those things. But I wanted to see if you had any specific Krishna conscious charities you recommend. I'm not rich, but want to share what I have with others. I suspect others would benefit from this information.
Beautiful sentiment, huh?
Yes. Any thoughts for that, Raghu? I've got some, but let's hear what you say.
Well, the first thought I was going to say was, I think the real benefit is not that you're coming in as, I'm going to white knight this. And I don't think that's her mood. Her mood is, I'm not rich, but my life is here to contribute. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And I think in that intention, we get so much benefit. Sometimes people say, I want to give to helping suffering people. And sometimes pain, suffering, poverty, hunger is so overwhelming. You're like, what can I even do? Like, I can never, it's just like a tidal wave of pain in this world. And it's one of those things like, you do what you can, you do for one what you'd love to do for many. And it's a beautiful sentiment for what you're asking. So that's sort of my feeling over it. Did you have a little list of charities? Why don't you read your list?
Okay. Well, and I also thought I'd read a little from the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, text 5 and 6. Right?
Oh, that's good.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance. This is Krishna speaking. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. In other words, not expecting something for yourself from it. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O Arjuna. That is my final opinion, right? And so, especially for people, this is the yogi culture, right? That particularly householders, particularly people that are married and supporting families, and if you're working in the world, if you're not a young and in school, or if you're not old and retired, you're meant to be giving in charity on some level. And and as you say, and as Sherry's saying, she's not rich, but still you should try to give something. And I'm not rich either, and still I try to give something. So here I'm gonna read 5 different places. I give to 4 of these monthly, and one I don't, but it's really worth giving to too. The first one is one I don't, but this I think speaks maybe most directly to Sherry's concern, and that's anamrita.org. Right? That's I'll share all these on the thing too. Anamrita.org, ANNAMRITA.org. And that's, the organization that does midday meals, right? In
Oh, yeah.
Mumbai, the Radhanath Swami's, his and the devotees at the I
Chapati.
just sent that. Yeah, I just put that on the board, but I sent it to the one person instead of everybody. Let me fix that. But yeah, and the devotees in Mumbai at the Radha Gopinath temple are really behind this. They have, I think, 11 massive kitchens throughout Mumbai.
It's quite amazing
Yeah,
what they
they
do.
have these things that they cook in, like they're pots that like 20 people some could climb. Like there's these massive thing. It's not just like a regular pot. It's like
No,
it's a
it's
whole
not like a
machine.
pot that you've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's like a
Mara, this is
machine.
much bigger than your commercial kitchen. These are like boats. They're cooking in a boat, basically. They're standing in the pot and stirring it while they're in it.
No, but
They're in the actual kitchery.
No,
while
they're not in
stirring
it.
They're just
Right,
spinning
they're not
around
in
like a
it.
whirling dervish.
They go in there in asbestos suits, even though it's boiling. They can handle the heat. No, but they, last I checked, and that was a long time ago. They were feeding over 300,000 kids in Mumbai every day, and this is really important because they feed them in the schools. And what it does is it gets the kids in the school. The poverty takes the kids out of schools, right? And the kids that live in the slums in Mumbai, like if you're not eating well and if you need some money to eat, you don't go to school, you go out on the street, right?
Mhm.
But if you know that the place to eat is at school, well, then not only does it feed you well, but it also keeps you in school. And so they feed over 300,000 delicious. I've had the food. It's delicious, nutritious khichdi meals. Very healthy, Krishna prasadam, delicious, and
Superstitious.
they not superstitious, and they deliver it hot every day. And in order to do that in Mumbai, because there's so much traffic, and you gotta have kitchens all over the city, and they have these big, massive kitchens all over the city. They also do it all over India, and all they feed millions and millions of people.
It's a great thing if you can bring your kids. Sometimes because devotees are really into distributing prasad. There's a big thing. Prasad is the food, vegetarian food cooked with love as an offering,
Yeah.
and giving it out on the streets. It's just a big part of, what we do as bhakti yogis. Bring your kids to do it sometimes, because there's something very special in kids learning to contribute and to hand out and to be kind and to be merciful and to be compassionate,
Yeah.
and to you start to develop that chamber of your heart that sometimes never gets touched. So that's another great thing, especially if you have some people around you that do things like that.
And I also love the idea that like hundreds of thousands of young people in Mumbai are eating prasadam every day.
Love that.
I love the idea that they're being fed because they need to be fed, but I also love the idea that they're eating Krishna prasad and that's having a spiritual effect on a mass scale.
And it does have a spiritual effect. Me and Kashuba were fed that food on the streets of the Lower East Side. We
Hope us
had
without
no
it.
interest in Krishna consciousness. We were like, okay, here come those guys with the vegetarian food. We can eat this. It's vegetarian.
Okay. Second organization, I give to this organization monthly. I encourage you to. That's foodforlifevrindavan.org. It's FFLV.org. Food for Life Vrindavan. This is an organization that was headed up by a personal friend of ours, right, Raghunath?
Yep. He was a brahmachari when we were brahmacharis, and he started feeding people in the temple in Vrindavan. He was an Italian guy, devotee.
Rupa Raghunath is his name.
Yeah, his name is Rupa Raghunath, and he started feeding the widows in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of old ladies who go to Vrindavan to prepare to die, and they have these widow ashrams, and they're very, very poor, most of them. And then they invite widows once a day or twice a day, and it would be packed, and it's just started getting bigger and bigger. And I think the temple was just like, this is too big. It's not within our scope of what we're doing here.
Not enough room.
We can't house this many widows. So he's like, okay. So he would go back to the Western countries, raise money, and then build a bigger place to do these. And then eventually one year he said, you know what we should do? I wonder if these very poor children that are beggars on the street, these bridge bosses, these children that grew up in Vrindavan, what would it be like if we started a school for them? I wonder if they would come. So he said, well, let's do an experiment. Let's do a school for like 30 or 40 kids. They did it. It was packed. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And now we're like 30 years in.
Yeah.
And he's got like 2 schools,
Big
organic
schools.
farming, huge schools.
And these schools, now it's
They're-
all girls' school, right?
Yeah. It's
And
very
because the girls are
impressive.
really the most vulnerable there. You know,
Yeah.
when there's heavy poverty in India, it's especially the girls that are vulnerable. And these are beautiful schools where they, the poorest of the poor, they come there, they get good clothes, they get good food, they get good education, and they come out like ready for the world, both on a devotional, spiritual level, as well as on a material, being able to work and being able to marry, being able to do the things that they might not have been able to do in life.
Oh, I
This
mean, those
is
schools, it's like when I go there, I'm like, I want to go to this school. That's
it's
how it is. It's like,
beautiful.
I want to go to school. Why aren't my kids going to this school? This is crazy.
There are
It's like, it's quite
literally
impressive.
thousands of wonderful stories of lives changed.
Yeah.
So that's and so when you give to Food for Life for Vrindavan, I'm sure there's different ways you can give, but also like they have a breakdown. Like if you give $1, it's like 57 cents goes to the schools. Then certain 30 cents or something like that goes to feeding the hungry people there, eradicating hunger, helping the farmers, helping the cows. They do all these beautiful. They've been
That's
doing it for
impressive.
decades and decades. This is a solid organization of very good people, and in this way, you're also doing Dham Seva. You're supporting the holy place, and
Sure.
especially the people in the holy place. So that's an organization that's really dear to our hearts.
I think it's nice when you connect like charity with bhakti because, I used to, went back in my days when I was in a Christian group. They used to like, I like the Christians, and we would go out and they would say, come on, we're going to go out and, we'd sing Christmas carols in the hospital. What do you think about that, Kasuba?
You would sing
Sing
Christmas carols in the hospital. Did you
Yeah,
do all
with my
4
Christian
parts?
group, with my Christian friends.
That's sweet.
And then they say, okay, now we're going to distribute food. But I was already a vegetarian. They were like, yep, we're giving out chicken wings. I was like, wait a second, I can't do this. I'm a strict vegetarian. I'm not giving anybody a chicken wing.
I don't want to help these people, but hurt the chicken.
I know. So when it's sort of tied in with bhakti, I feel like it checks all my boxes of charity,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which brings me to our next organization. And by the way,
Chickenwing.org.
no, it's not chickenwing.org. But Mara will put the links to all these in the show notes. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, you'll find them there. Next organization I give monthly to is this I give yearly to because it's just easier because I go there every year. But that's the Govardhan Eco Village.
Because we like what they're doing.
We like what they're doing. I particularly give to the Goshala to protect the cows. And you may say, well, what about people? Well, here's the deal.
Cows are people too. Haven't you been listening to the Bhagavatam?
That's the first one. Cows are people too. And what they're doing there is they're demonstrating something, right? They're winning tons of awards from all different, from the UN, from what the Govardhan Eco Village is doing is they're demonstrating different ways that we can sustain ourselves, in a healthy way, in harmony with the earth, in harmony with the animals. This is what our world really needs to know, and this is what the Govardhan Eco Village is like. It's an organization that's catching attention and being effective, that's showing how we can do this practically, how to harvest water, which is a super important thing to do, how to preserve strains of different foods that are being lost, how to plow the land naturally, how not to use all the pesticides, how to deal with huge issue in India, how to deal with all the sewage and how that all just gets recycled. They do so much, and especially something that's lost in our world that's so important. If you're a yogi, if you read the sacred text, is to care for the cows, right? That we brutalize these beautiful animals that are God-given to live in harmony with, and that they so kindly provide for all our needs, right? In terms of food, in terms of shelter, in terms of power,
fertilizer,
in terms
my
of
friend.
fertilizer, in terms of natural
80%,
pesticides.
80% more of a yield with cow dung.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yield. Nice,
Cow
right?
urine. Cow urine becomes a pesticide, herbicide, fungicide.
Yeah. So I give especially to the Gold Shell there. I go there in every year and I distribute, but it's another place to distribute to give to on a monthly basis. And so they do other things there too, like the local villagers. They really empower the women. They really help them develop their crafts and market them. They show them how to farm. They show them how to harvest water, which are super important things, because the way it works in India is you get tons of rain for 4 months and then you get nothing,
Right. So
for the rest of the year.
harvesting rain's important. This rain catchment is important.
Yeah.
And it sometimes just people nowadays, villagers, some of those traditional arts have been lost. And so with these permaculture, these sort of like cutting edge, when we say like a cutting edge permaculture, it's just really bringing it back to the way it was 150 years ago,
Sure.
before the Industrial Revolution. Otherwise they're just bringing around herds of goats and they're just like chopping down all these trees we planted. So you have to almost like re-educate the people in how to live in harmony with nature. And it's quite beautiful. And it's happening. And those who are coming with us to the Govardhan Eco Village in January, we're gonna see that community outreach too. So Care for Cows, or what's it called? It's
That's the Govardhan Eco Village.
Okay.
Care for Cows is part of the Food for Life Vrindavan. They also have a beautiful, kind of like I suppose you call it like a little farm there, where they find all the injured. It's especially cows, but they care for so many injured animals.
It's cow rescue.
It's like cow rescue.
What cow rescue? How many cows need to be rescued? Lots of cows, because they have this thing in India where India's just developing. It's just like why there's so many monkeys in Vrindavan now. It's just like developing. So it's like it's not like the monkeys are taking over. It's just like you're taking over the monkey land. You're the monkey taking over their land.
Right.
Don't get mad at them.
They're not taking over us. We took over them.
Yeah, I can't build a little house within Kostuba's apartment and blame Kostuba for always hanging around. I went into his apartment.
Right.
So the same thing's going on with the monkeys, with the deer, with the cows. The cows, people have cows. And then all of a sudden, they let them out to pasture in the day and
Cars
they come
are all
back.
over the place.
And within 20 years, like India is actually rapidly growing. So there's like cities built around cows and so cows are wandering in the streets. And of course, traffic and automobiles and buses, they're increasing. Then they get hit by cars. They what they do is they go around, they rescue these cows. And it's quite beautiful going to Care for Cows in Vrindavan. Care for Cows
Vrindavan. Maybe, Mary, you can Google that, and we should be able to get a link for that too. But I believe Care for Cows works under the Food for Life Vrindavan umbrella.
I think so too. Mary, have you been to Care for Cows?
Never.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you should go out there. It's nice.
Yeah.
That was started by a friend of ours who passed away, right? But
Korma Rupa Prabhu.
He just selflessly gave his life to the service of the cows in Vrindavan.
I wrote about him in my book, Korma Rupa.
Oh, great.
One of my meetings with him inspired me in my bhakti path.
Okay.
I first went to India.
That website is careforcowsvrindavan.com, but I'll put it in the show notes also.
Thank you. And so that's okay. So we did the Annamrita, which was feeding the kids, especially from the slums in the cities of India. Food for Life Vrindavan, which was especially educating and caring for the girls in the holy Dham of Vrindavan, but doing much more than that. Govardhan Eco Village, which is caring for the cows, but also caring for the local villagers and showing the world how to live in harmony with Mother Earth and the animals. And Care for Cows, which fits under that as well. And then another organization I give to is the ISKCON Child Protection. I feel this is really important. It's like, as a member of, ISKCON doesn't really have like an official membership, but as a person who's engaged with and benefited so much from the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, I personally feel called to try to help this organization because, I love the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's given me my spiritual life. It's done so much it's put me in touch with so many wonderful people and so many wonderful teachings. But the darkest thing that's come out of it is this, that there's been a sad history of child abuse, particularly in the schools that it started. I think the schools were started before there was a deep awareness of just how serious this is. And so this organization, it's kind of, they call it the CPO, but you go to, it's iskonchildprotection.org. And this is an organization, it's global. It's within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. They educate every center how to protect the children. How they help you organize a team that can has all the skills and the knowledge that they need in order to help help our children stay protected. It's real important.
It's a problem in any community. Like, how are we going to protect the children? And unless you really think about it, people don't do anything about it. So there is great awareness finally getting out about this, and because there's predators. Whenever there's vulnerables, there's predators. People prey on vulnerables. So that's a great choice too.
Okay, and so then, the ones that I personally give to are Food for Life for Nav and the Eco Village of Child Protection, ISKCON Child Protection, and I also give to the Bhakti Center monthly. I do that because that's my local center, and I think that's a nice thing to do too. If there's a center, people have to support their centers, right? And that's a center in New York City that's helping people practice bhakti, and so I give to Bhakti Center as well, bhakticenter.org. But you might want to give to a center near you, anybody that's listening. So those are what I give to. But I'm not, just like Sherry, I'm not rich. I try to give what I can. I try to give a little bit more. Like I think I try to push it a little bit. I think that's a healthy thing to do, and I find that Krishna always takes care of me one way or another. But it's important that we give, and these are nice organizations that I like to give to.
Did you ever give to the Upstate Children's Fund?
What is that? That's your family?
That's my family.
It's also called supersoul.com.
Upstate Children's Fund. We are accepting.
Are you one of the children? Are you?
This year they're sponsoring a foosball table.
Bringing people together with the sport of foosball. Oh.
Okay.
All right. That was good. What's our next question?
Nice for
Welcome
Christmas
people on
time too,
Facebook. If you're listening to this on Facebook, we do Q&A every day, and we do the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, we don't do Q&A every day.
We don't do Q&A every day. We do Q&A every Saturday.
That's right.
And we do study of the Srimad Bhagavatam every day.
Okay.
Ish.
Are you ready for the next question, Raghunath?
You know what? I wish ish was always a word. It's a new word. Most new words I don't like.
Ish
coming
isn't
up with
a
new
word.
words all the time. Ish is a great word. I use it about 4 times a day. Ish. I just used it.
Okay.
It's such a good word. Ish.
Oh, thank you, Raghunath.
Okay, just sharing that.
Are you ready for the next question?
Yep.
This is coming from Victoria Junny via email. I know Victoria. Nice person.
You know her?
Yep. Yeah, because she used to come to Bhakti Center. She's going to mention that right at the beginning of this question. She writes, I'm a Californian other.
Is she
based
Indian?
No, but her husband is. I'm a Californian other based in San Jose and have been listening to the podcast since it started. The Bhakti Center in New York City was my first and most precious spiritual home. And listening to Wisdom of the Sages every day makes me feel close. Makes me feel close by, even though I'm physically so far away.
Oh.
Since this is my first time reaching out after so many years of listening, it's 3 years now, Raghunath. We're coming up on 3 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we're bringing it all back home. It started. We have to have an anniversary celebration.
New Year's. Oh, yeah.
No, January 1st. We started it 2020.
Okay.
We should do something.
Festivities.
Actually, when are we getting to India, Mara?
I think we arrive very early in the morning on the 3rd.
Can we do a show on the 1st?
I can. I'll be in India.
Yeah, we can, because we travel out on the 1st, but not till the afternoon.
Okay, so we can
do something a little special.
Yeah.
Let's do something special.
Okay. All right. Continuing on.
That involves the vegan cannolis Vegan Trucker has.
Oh, yeah.
How was that? Did you eat it?
No, but I'm going to relish those
saving
vegan cannolis today. Yeah.
We gave Kastuba a ride all the way uptown. Do you think he'd give me a little bit of that vegan cannoli?
You had plenty of cannolis. You didn't.
That's got nothing to do with your charity. Just because other people give to Care for Cows doesn't mean you shouldn't give to Care for Cows. Just because I've had vegan cannolis doesn't mean you should give me some of your vegan cannolis.
But you had an abundance.
And we got
cannolis.
caught.
You got more cannolis than I have.
Traffic.
There was no traffic.
It was all red lines all the way up to the George Washington
Was it,
Bridge.
Mary? Is that true?
Yeah, we did hit
Well,
some
you would have hit
traffic
that
after we
anyway.
dropped you.
Not the way I was going. Up
You
the
were.
east
That's
side.
because you followed Waze. If you would have just listened to me. That you want to talk about ridiculous. We're driving up. You got Waze playing 2 times. It's giving different instructions. Telling us to go out to Queens.
I
telling us
had
to go-
maps going one way,
And I'm
Waze
like,
going the
I
other
know
way.
how to
Maps was
get
going to the
there.
donut plant.
I'm like, I know how to get there. Why don't we? Well, we don't need this machine. Okay, let's continue with this question. Victoria continues. Since this is my first time reaching out after so many years of listening, I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude for everything you do. This 1-hour podcast is quite literally the highlight of my day. That's so nice to hear, isn't it, Raghunath?
Yeah,
Makes it all
it's
worth
beautiful.
it. I've laughed.
I love hearing from these people that I don't know.
Yeah, I've laughed hysterically, cried, and had important aha moments through many of them. Thank you.
Me too, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria. This question is intended for Raghunath.
I have some valuable information you may not have access to, Kostuba.
Given his interest in health, cleansing, and ghosts,
Oh,
can you tell this is going to be a crazy question?
yeah.
However, I would love to hear Kostuba's point of view on this too. Here we go.
Man.
After giving birth to my son last year, congratulations, Victoria, I've been having some health issues. And in my research, come across Anthony William, who is also known as the medical medium.
Ooh.
He started the celery juice movement and has literally healed millions of people through information from what he claims to be a voice he hears from the quote unquote spirit of compassion.
Okay.
He mentions that starting at the age of 4, he started hearing a male voice that would tell him how to heal people from illness. That was actually Raghunath's voice.
That was my voice.
I
was calling him.
am the person that Anthony William is channeling. Okay. The craziest part about this is everything he's written has been proven true by modern medical science. There are a lot more details about his metaphysical experience I won't mention here, but it really got my wheels turning. There are some things he recommends that align with Krishna conscious culture. For example, eating a plant-based diet. I think he may believe in the transmigration of the soul because he recommends a specific smoothie for using your dreams as gateways to understand the soul and soul's past. He speaks against caffeine and alcohol. After hearing him on another podcast, it seems like he generally encourages people to get in touch with God without advocating for any specific religion. I'm not suggesting that Krishna himself is inspiring him through these observations, just drawing some interesting parallels. Since Anthony Williams has become a global sensation for his healing strategies and is at the same time very openly and confidently speaking about the voice of compassion telling him these health secrets, I thought it could be worthwhile to unpack this and try to understand what's happening from a bhakti perspective.
Very interesting. Interesting.
Is this a Krishna miracle? I've heard of people being marked as messengers of God through hearing quote unquote voices in Christianity, but I can't recall similar stories in our tradition. I suppose he could be hearing all of this from a ghost or bodiless soul. From your perspective, what in the world could be going on here? I apologize if this question is too out there. Just genuinely curious and want to know what you think. Thank you, Victoria Johnny.
Who's Paul Williams?
He was a singer. Short guy with blonde, shaggy hair.
Stocky. The ghost of Paul Williams is giving information on eternal health and happiness. First of all, here's my initial answer. It's all real, and it's all unreal as well. Okay. For example, I'm not saying this guy does, but I could feasibly pose myself as an intuitive mystic, and just say, you should be drinking wheatgrass juice all the time, never have caffeine. The soul is eternal. God speaks to me and tells me that you should have a plant-based diet. Once a week, you should fast. I mean, with all the thousands of books I've read in health, healing from all the different cultures around the world, I could just say voices have been speaking to me and come up with these very, very obvious things to make you a healthy life. You should breathe deeply every day. You know what I mean? You should spend 15 minutes in the morning sun. It doesn't matter if you have red hair, just 15 minutes in the early morning sun. You know what I mean? You should practice movement of your body. A spirit tells me these things. A healing spirit named Quinoa tells me these things every morning. Quinoa,
and you'll get a
Davey.
following.
Yes. And I'd get a following. Now, the interesting thing is I could make it up. And I think historically there are people, and I'm not even questioning whether they're nefarious or not. They could just be like, you know what? No one's going to listen to me. So I'm just going to say I heard it from God. And I'm going to tell these very basic, I mean, to most people, you tell them to be vegetarian, you tell them to breathe, you tell them to move their body, and they start doing those things and their life, you tell them to do a fast and their life starts changing. They're going to think, wow, this guy's got I've changed my life from these things, because they're life-changing yogic principles. Mm-hmm. And any one of you could tell people, especially people with a standard American diet, tell people those things and you could change their life. So I'm not even saying these people this person is, nefarious. He could say, no one's going to listen to me. So I'll tell them I'm inspired by spirit and I'll just share these things. And then people do them, practice them, and they change. Sometimes, so that's one thing. He's lying through his teeth for the benefit of others.
One possibility, you're saying.
One possibility. Another possibility is he hears voices in his head that talks to him. Now, this could be a spirit. It could be like there's good unembodied spirits as well as bad unembodied spirits. He could be getting some insight from a higher being. You just got to be a little careful who you hear from. In the spirit world, they say you create a debt to that spirit.
What?
You create a debt to that spirit.
In the spirit world, they say this. How did you
world? That's why my mom says no Ouija boards in the house.
Okay.
No Ouija boards in the house. That was my mom's statement. So yeah, there are spirit realms that can give you information. Now in Bhakti, we don't go so much on, one man's revelation, because there's a lot of room for cheating in there. They could just say, well, I feel this, or you never hear devotees speak like that. A voice came to me, or I was inspired by like that. Even if they are, they keep that stuff private, because we started to think like, who does this person try to we go by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, sacred beings, previous masters, sacred literature. We're not trying to put ourselves out there as the next prophet. And we understand that human beings have the tendency to be misinformed, to cheat a little, to be a little self-absorbed. And we never know what is my deep intuition and what is my just arrogance or my gut feeling that's not based in my actual super soul speaking to me, but based in some other emotion that's coming to me. That being said, so those are two things. You could be channeling into some spirit, some ghost. It could give some good advice. Could also give some evil advice. How about the famous serial killers told me, like, yeah, my dog was telling me to murder people. That's a real thing too. So careful what voices you listen to out there. And another thing is, even if people give you good advice, you got to be careful who you invest faith in. Just period. You got to have discernment, because at one moment they could be saying this, the other moment they could be saying something else. So I always keep discernment in my back pocket and my front pocket. What do you think about that, Kastuba?
I thought that was good. I appreciate your answer. It's pretty thorough. And more or less, I'm on the same page with you. Personally, I place my faith in these Vedic texts, right? We're all placing our faith somewhere in this world, right? Some people may say, I place my faith in scientists. And what that means is you're placing your faith in certain scientists, and have risen in the field of science and have published certain things, right? Or people say, I believe in what I can see, and most people, that's actually not true, because there's a lot that they haven't seen that they believe in too. They use conjecture and they put things together. I have deep faith in the Vedic text. which I feel are very substantial for many reasons, which we've covered in the past, and I don't think we need to get into here. But it's something I've been experimenting with for a long time, and my faith is deepened in it. But even there, I try to interpret them with a good dose of common sense, right?
Sure.
You hear something and it sounds outrageous, and you got to try to understand, how am I meant to understand this? What am I meant to learn from this? In a practical, healthy way. So that's important. Now, when it comes to talks of mediums and channels, I'm very wary of that kind of thing. I'm not personally, I'm not too interested in that.
I'm totally interested. Are you kidding? Whenever I hear somebody's a channel, I was like, bring them in. Let me hear.
But yeah, I'm very wary of that. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's impossible it exists. It's certainly possible, right?
Well, here's the deal. Our whole culture talks about, I'm going to chop you off here a second, and then we're going to go back to you. I'm not forgetting that you have something important to say, but because this is not what I didn't say here. I'm like, we completely accept that there's mystics in this world. It's a big part of yoga philosophy. There's mystics, there's intuitives, empaths, people have some siddhis, and you could be like, well, this person's like 11 years old, or this person's 25 years, where they've never done any yogic austerities. They could be bringing them in from their previous life, and they just have some powers in this life. That's also true too. People have some things from a previous life that they bring into this life that gives them some deep intuition or some healing ability. And I'd be careful with calling it, this is fake news. I read, someone posted, and I get it, because people hear about one thing and then the critics, the fact checkers come in. You don't know. We don't know. Sometimes these people do heal things. Before we just quickly write it off, you got to understand, like, we don't know all these things. But Kostuba's making another point here, which is, I'm going to sum up in one word: speculation. There's a lot of speculation out there, and that's what Kostuba does not like. He does not like speculators.
Well, it's not that I don't like speculators, but here's the point. I have faith in these Vedic texts because they have thousands of years of the solid, providing solid information that serious people have been experimenting with and getting results from. And it's, there's a vast, consistent, deep philosophical tradition there. There's a very powerful culture there that's got so much to give, and something that I practically experienced. There's reasons why I've invested my faith in it and why that faith has grown. Anybody just coming along saying I'm hearing a voice, I'm not going to be so quick to throw my faith that way. It's something that one has to engage with, and particularly when it comes to things about health. Right, there's certain things where, like, people are really vulnerable about, like, when we're not healthy, we're looking for a solution, and we may be vulnerable to just to putting perhaps too much faith in someone that we think is solving our malady. So, and again, I'm not even saying that I don't know anything about this person, and I'm not saying that the advice that they're giving isn't really good advice. At the same time, if I were to take advice from someone like this, I would want to double check. I would want to get second opinions. I would want to see, as it seems that Victoria is doing, right? She's like checking out to see if this runs parallel with modern medicine, or or things like Ayurveda.
I'm going to run a fact check on you, Kostuba.
You can do that, Raghunath.
You know how many times your gurus yelled at me, Mara? You know how many times Kostuba's gurus yelled at me when I was a young man, saying, "Speculator, Bhakta Ray, you are a speculator."
Good times. Good
times in the ashram, Kostuba. Speculation.
So I suppose to sum it up, it was I appreciate Victoria's question. If she's getting good health advice from this person and it's working, and she's being careful to check up with other sources to make sure that these aren't crazy ideas, then I'm happy for you. And who this person is or what they are, we don't know. But just be careful. That's my point, right?
Yeah, gotta be a little careful.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have said, like, the god of celery came to me and told me about the celery juice.
Well,
I could have made that up.
There was that film. What was it called again? That where, like, a a young Indian guy, like in his 20s, from New Jersey, pretended
Right.
he was from India, and then
And was, yeah.
and he was like some kind of guru, and he took on all the external accoutrements of a guru and talked and like people think a guru talks, and he was just making everything up, and he got this. What does anyone remember what that was
It
called?
was truthfully, it's a freaking horrible movie, Stu. I can't believe it. It's just like
I didn't see it.
no. My understanding is you prey on people's faith and goodwill. That's what I didn't like about it. And even though he wanted to prove a point,
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was horrible.
Well, okay. I'm not commenting like on the
You're not
intent
saying
of the
you should-
movie maker or
right.
something, but it was called Kumare. That's what it's called.
Kumari.
Yeah,
Kumari.
but it does illustrate a very important point, is that it's it's not difficult for people to come along and
Right.
gather followers by posing as someone that's deeply spiritual. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
I do it all the time.
okay. Anyway, that's it for today, Raghunath.
That's it.
All I have to
Well,
say is
we're
let the festivities continue, right?
let the festivities of the Super Soul Winter Wonderland Extravaganza continue.
All right.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
What are you playing?
I'm playing the same song I played at the beginning.
Well, you need an outro and an intro song.
I just thought it's just. I thought
Just
this could play-
speculated without asking me.
I thought
This
could
is
play.
speculation.
You liked it so much as the intro. I thought you liked it as the outro.
You know what I didn't see yesterday? I thought I was going to see Krishna Drew.
Oh, that
She
would
on
have
the
been great to
list?
see Krishna Drew. Maybe she had other Christmas festivities to take part in.
Yeah. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to everybody who came to the festivities. Thanks for everybody on Facebook who's watching this maybe for the first time. We all wave to each other at this point, all the Zoom members, me and Kastuba. You know, Mara blows me a kiss, mwah, like that. Kastuba winks at me. And I put a hug out there. I just put my arms like this and hug people. And if you want, you just step forward towards your camera and you step into my hug. Just do that right now, everybody.
Step into my hug,
Step into my hug.
and you will
Yes,
feel
come
the
close.
energy.
Come
There's
closer.
positive
Yeah, Amita
spiritual
G's
energy.
coming closer. Karuna, come here. Step into my hug. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Jamie Step Jojo, thanks for the presents yesterday, my brother. Yes,
Oh, it was
remember,
great
all
seeing Jamie
Christmas
Step
presents
Jojo.
sent here to Super Soul Farm. We are accepting all Christmas presents. You know what
Even
I didn't get this year?
Kastuba's.
I did not get any mugs. Usually I get tons of mugs on Christmas.
It's
Quite
not
sh-
even Christmas yet, Prabhu.
It's not Christmas.
Not yet.
Jamie Step Dojo looked like he had a Grinch outfit on or something over there. It's like green like that.
He's stealing people's presents and giving them to the poor.
Giving
It's
some
like
to
the Robin
Raghunath.
Hood of the Krishna consciousness movement. He's just going to different Amazon packages and throwing them in his truck and then delivering them. Oh, it's winding down this year, and what a year it's been.
What a year it's been.
What a you know what? I had a tough year, people, and I took shelter of the Bhagavatam. Thanks to Wisdom of the Sages, I listened to the Bhagavatam every day practically and took shelter of Krishna, and it was like holding a lifeline for me. It's been a lifeline for me, and I want to thank this big, wonderful sweetheart of a community that embraced me, loved me, supported me through my speculation, my pain, and my joy, and it's been quite wonderful, and I'm really happy I'm here with everybody. 2023, we're going to blow this up. We're going to blow it up bigger. We're going to tell a friend. We're going to tell friends about their spiritual life. And you got a lot of people in your life that are sitting on a fence. Like, I just had a student. She wasn't a devotee, but she was a really sweet student and, you know, asked me a lot of questions about life, and she committed suicide. And, you know, people are suffering tremendously in this material world. And my prayers go out to her and her husband. And she was a beacon of light, this woman, but she just couldn't deal with some demons. And I love her, and my prayers go out to her. You have friends in your life that need you to give some wisdom to them, and you know who they are. Send them a screenshot, send them a link, send them the podcast. It could change a person's life forever. This isn't because of me. It's because of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam has the opportunity to buoy us higher when things get really murky, and the material world can get real murky quick. I saw this video of a car driving down the road, and a sinkhole just opened up, and it drove right into the sinkhole. That's the material world. When you least expect it, sinkholes. Watch out for sinkholes. That's your lesson for today, people. Take shelter of Krishna. Be careful of sinkholes in the material world. Put your hands in the air. Worship Lord Chaitanya. Appreciate Santa Claus. And let's all get together and sing songs of joy and festivity and good cheer. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. And I love you all. And a Merry good night.
God bless you, everyone.